Good morning to you. It's Pastor Pharaoh, and it's Monday, April 1st. It's April Fool's Day, and I'm sitting out here in the sun and enjoying the beauty of the yard here at the church. And I'm out here by the playground and the little free library that we have out here at the corner of Fountain and Pleasure. And it is gorgeous out here, but it is kind of an April Fool's because it is really cold. It's like 39 degrees. So I thought I would wear my jacket out here. I'd like to talk to you about the Lenten table that we've been studying here at St. Matthew. And as you probably know from the newsletters and from the announcements and from all of the promotion of the Turquoise Table, the book that we've been covering on and off through Lent, on Lenten Wednesdays at 5:30, and also in our services during Lent. We've been talking about hospitality, and we've been talking about God's hospitality. And we've been talking about how the theology of how it is the fullness of God's blessings that God gives us at the table. And God shares that table with us. And we've been talking about what that means. How do we respond to that? How do we respond to God's goodness and God's wholeness at the table that He provides for us? The first week we talked about the general theology, the overall theology of God's hospitable nature. And the second week we talked about how it is that seniors in our midst and in our communities, in our church, everywhere we are, the lens of seniors and how often culture is not very friendly to seniors, and how it is that we can be hospitable to seniors. Last week we talked about minorities and the lens of how it is that there are hierarchies in this world, and there are it's a part of the culture often to suppress different people in regards to their race or their gender or their economic status, and many other different ways that we suppress people, either whether we know it or whether we don't know it. And so we talked about those systems that are at work. This week we're going to do something special. We have the little tots, it's called Soccer Shots. It's a national group, and they have a little place here. They're meeting here on the lawns in April and May, and teaching little kids how to do soccer. So we are hosting them this week and sharing meal with them. And also there's the Democratic Committee, the Manheim Township Democratic Committee, that meets here monthly, on a monthly basis. And so we're sharing hospitality with them as well. So we're giving up our space, if you will. We're learning how to give up our space and share with others for the needs that they have. The last Wednesday will be a recap week, and it will involve stuffing doorknob hangers for inviting people to Holy Week here and inviting them to the table here at St. Matthew. During the church services on Saturday and Sunday, we had an open forum, and we had a recap basically of what it is that we've been learning, and it had to do with the prodigal son. And so I opened up the floor to people in the congregation. Had some amazing ideas come from people about how they feel, what it was that Jesus was talking to the Pharisees and talking to us about in matters of the prodigal son. The prodigal son story. Jesus was sitting with sinners at the table. Very fitting for our hospitality study. And the Pharisees got their feathers ruffled. And so I asked the congregation why it was that the Pharisees got their feathers ruffled. And one response was about that hierarchy pushing people away from the table that the Pharisees would often do. And Jesus, in a countercultural way, leveled the playing field. You know, we were promised that in Isaiah. We were promised that back in Isaiah in Advent, that God would make a way in the wilderness, and the road would, God would flatten the mountains and raise the valleys and make a way. And Jesus was doing that very thing as he sat with those who needed to be fed. You know, once before, the Pharisees complained to Jesus that he was sitting with sinners, and he said that a physician comes, if you need healing, you come to a physician, and the physician provides the healing. If you don't need the healing, then I guess you don't need to come to the table. And that was his response to the Pharisees. And I think what Jesus was saying is that we all need healing, and we all are on that level playing field. We all are in need of God. We must always remember that. There were some other amazing responses. How it is that God does value us. One of the responses from the congregation was also that in the as a result of the book club, I guess the book club did study the prodigal son last year, and the takeaway from that was that we can all see each other in the prodigal son story, and that's much the way Jesus' parables were. And I think that's a very important point, that we all see each other in this creation, and we see each other in need of God. And to be able to put on someone else's glasses and their lens and see where it is that they walk in this world, and to be conscientious of that, is very important. You know, God stepped into this world in the incarnation. God created this world, saw that it was good. Creation fell, creation is broken, and Jesus came to be with us, to sit with us, to dwell amongst us, the Word made flesh. And Jesus came to see what that lens is. He came to see pain. He came to see sorrow. He saw that in each and every one of us. He saw that we needed a physician, and he was that physician, and he did that for us, and he loved us. Forgiveness is the biggest thing that we see in the prodigal son, that God's blessings are abundant at the table. Excuse me. And whenever we find ourselves away from the table, and we have strayed, and we have spent our money recklessly and spent our lives recklessly, and not been appreciative of the blessings that come from the table, God is always willing to bring us back into the fold and bring us, and there's always plenty of room at the table for us. My heart was warmed yesterday. My body might be cold now, but my heart was warmed yesterday, and my heart is warmed this day. In the ways that the folks here at St. Matthew and the St. Matthew community, the family at large, how that folks have responded to this table invitation. And so I invite you to the table. If you've not come to the table yet, you are invited here at 5:30 on Wednesday. You're invited. The church services are at 5 o'clock on Saturday and 10 a.m. on Sunday. There are many ways that we share God's love here at St. Matthew. And if you have come to the table, you've experienced the table, I invite you back to this table to experience God's richness. May God bless you in this day. May you feel the sunshine of God's love on you. May you know that God is with you in every aspect of your life. Wherever it is that you may go, God loves you. That's the gospel. And there's plenty of room at God's table. Peace be with you.